Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Elijah and today is an unplanned video. So I had originally planned to do either a story time yesterday or a reaction, and so I picked a reaction instead of a story time. However, part of that video that I was doing, I guess the mic either, I'm not sure if it was not working or whatever the case may be, it's not working anymore, so I need to get a new one. But yeah, so that whole video that I filmed was pretty much no good. You couldn't hear anything I was saying, so I was pretty bummed about that. But as these happen, so I figured today, since this would have been yesterday, yesterday night, yeah, and I was working all day, so obviously there wasn't time to film another video. So I figured today we'll do a story time. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do on Fridays, if I wanted to do a story time, but since I started posting more, I figured, you know what, 2 days a week I can do my reactions, and then one day we can do a story time. So this kind of factors into that. I'm not sure if I want to do like Friday story times or whatever, but Mondays and Wednesdays I do reactions, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know. This story time though is very different from what I've usually done in the past. So I talk a lot about LA, but I'm not originally from LA. So this story time is going to talk about how I got here or why I'm here. So I'm originally from Rhode Island. I've lived in New York, Chicago, Pennsylvania, a few other states I've lived in, but I'm originally from Rhode Island. Now, Rhode Island is a very small state, so you might not know what it is, but it's between Connecticut and I believe Massachusetts. I think, yeah. So southern Rhode Island is bordered to Massachusetts, as well as northern Rhode Island, and then Connecticut is kind of like on the side. So, but it's around those two states. It's a little itty bitty state. You might have known like Martha's Vineyard. In order to get to Martha's Vineyard, you probably had to go through Rhode Island or southeastern Mass. But anyways, but yeah, so that's where I'm from. It's pretty small. It is. It's small, country, very small-minded state. So I think that was what? The first time I moved down of Rhode Island to, coincidentally, California, was when I was going to college. I wanted something different. I had this vision I was going to be this greatest actor and all that. That didn't end up happening. I mean, I've done acting over the years, but it didn't, happen the way I thought it was going to happen. So I had drove, 2,900 miles to go to a school in LA, and then, I've done some acting, and then about, 5 years into living in LA, I wanted to go back home, and so I went back home for a while, and then once I fixed up some things I wanted to at home, I had a lot of unresolved issues that I wanted to deal with, so I left. Once I finished them and I fixed them, I left for LA again, and that's when I came back to LA. I was probably, 29, 30? Yeah, I was about 30 years old. I'm 33 now, so, but I came out, and, since then I've been, there's been a lot that's happened. I was dating, then I broke up, housing, job, everything kind of changed. And that's how I got out here the second time. Why I came out here? Coming out here was, like I said, once I had fixed everything I needed to back home, I didn't want to be there. I never wanted to be there, but I went back home because I had a lot of issues I didn't resolve, and I think that half my life has always been about running away from problems, and so moving back home was about fixing those problems, and Like for the most part, I did. There was some things that aren't gonna get fixed, but that's just how life works. And so coming out here was the same time was harder because I had fixed these relationships, but the reality is that you know one one thing is that I knew I could not be near my family. Um, Sometimes, and I think Jada Pinkett said it the best. She said, "You can love them, but from over there." You know what I'm saying? So I'm here from over there. So excuse me. So I think in that context, for me, it was about loving them, but from another place, because there was just so much toxicity between the family, and there was things they never dealt with, and they may never deal with, and that's just not me. I dealt with my issues, and I didn't want to continue living in the past of those issues. So at a point, I said, you know what, it's time to leave and go back to, LA. I had dreams, goals I wanted to accomplish, start my own business, da 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 da. And so that's what I've done. I packed up my stuff. This time, I sold my car because I wanted to have a good amount of money when I moved out to LA. So I sold my car, sold everything, and then I took, instead of taking a plane, I wanted to actually like record coming out here. So I took a Greyhound, was it Greyhound? Yeah, it was a Greyhound, and so I took Greyhound from Rhode Island up to New York. Then from New York to Pennsylvania. I'm trying to think. From Pennsylvania, I think it was Pennsylvania to Indiana. Yeah, Indiana. Indiana to Missouri. Missouri to, what was it? Missouri. Oh, Missouri to New Mexico, and then from New Mexico to LA. Yeah, or deep South LA. Yeah, deep in South LA, but it drove through South LA, and then we ended up in like downtown area. But yeah, that's how the Greyhound went. It was kind of weird this time, but I've taken Greyhounds before. Sometimes they just go in different like routes, but yeah, that's how I got to LA. And then I think I was in a hotel for about the first month and a half, and then I found a place, and yeah, that's how that went. And then fast forwarding the last few years, it's kind of been an up and downhill struggle, as with a lot of things. But yeah, that's why I ended up out here again. Family can be a hard thing, and sometimes you have to realize that the family you were born into may not always be the family you end up with. That was a real big push to get out here. I mean, I already knew I wanted to be out here, and part of my plan had been to get out here actually sooner than when I did, but I kept pushing it off and putting it off, and I was with Walmart. That's the other thing. I was working at Walmart for 7 years. I had gotten a job while I was out there, and I did not intend on working at Walmart for that long, but it did. It ended up like 7 years. I originally had the job out here when I moved back, and then I moved back and I transferred the job there. I left for about a month, maybe 2 months, and then I'm like, okay, I need a job. I thought that I had enough saved, and didn't intend on staying out there that long, but I did. And so I said, you know what, I called my store manager back and I let him know. I said, listen, I'm probably gonna need to come back. And so I did. Luckily I left on good terms, and I went back, and then that's what happened. I stayed 5 years, and far more drama. But anyways, yeah, I needed to get away. I fixed my problems, but there was still a lot of family that was toxic. And, like I said, I made a decision a long time ago not to be around that. Um, and I worked very hard to get where I'm at, and I wasn't gonna let anybody get in my way of that. So I said my goodbyes, and I came out here. And that's pretty much how I got out here. That's the story time of how I got out here. So, that being said, I hope you enjoyed that little, I hope, brief story time. I do have some more story times that will be coming, but I felt like I've talked a lot about dating and this and that, but not about how I got out to LA. So that's pretty much how I got out to LA. If you do want a little bit more in-depth details on some of the stuff I talked about today, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. Make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Drop a comment down below on what you would like to hear, other story times or reactions you'd like to see. Make sure you check out my website at jacoforever.com. I just put up a new store as well as a merch shop, so go check out some of the Christmas items I have in my store and the new merch I have in my merch store. With that being said,